Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sefa, Ristia, Ilyas, and today I would like to show you my presentation about the types and intrinsic element of poetry, A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. A Dream Within a Dream is a poem by Edgar Allan Poe, first published in 1849. The poem expressed doubt and uncertainty about the nature of reality, questioning whether life itself is just an illusion, a dream within a dream. It begins with the speaker parting from a lover, or at least from someone with whom the speaker was very close, and end with the speaker on the beach, attempting to grab grains of sand that keep slipping through the speaker's fingers. The poem is appropriately riddle-like as its speakers grows increasingly troubled by a lack of certainty. This is the poetry A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. Next, I will explain about the poetry. So, A Dream Within a Dream is purely a melancholic poem. It's about the hope, hopelessness, and helplessness of a man in general. As the poet agonizingly contends that humans have to make compromises. The first half deals with Edgar Allan Poe's loss of his beloved. Crestfallen with pain and bleeding profusely, he deems the time spent with his fiancée a fairy tale. The gloomy mood reflects the poet's real-life affairs as his fiancée is taken away from her, leaving him to pick up the pieces. Struggling with time, loss, and helplessness, the poet comes to terms with reality knocking on his door. For him, he feels he has been betrayed by time, watching indifferently as he recovers from one loss to another. So next, I will explain about the intrinsic element of this poetry. The poetry has a lot of elements in it. This presentation will be focused on analyzing the intrinsic element. There are several intrinsic elements of this poetry, such as theme, figurative, imagery, rhyme, meters, and message. The intrinsic element analysis of poetry is important to make the readers understand what kind of element used in the poetry to understand the message of the poetry. First, I will explain about the theme. The theme in A Dream Within a Dream is about frustration, the existence of life, and sorrow over the transient life. These themes are evident in both stanzas. The first stanza shows sadness because the speaker is bidding goodbye to his beloved. However, her departure makes him question his existence. Traumatized by this event, he mourned the temporary nature of life that has brought despair and sorrow. In the second stanza, he is still sad, holding grains of sand. No matter how hard he tried to hold, sand grains slip away. Ironically, he compares human life to this falling of the grains of sand. He questioned God to lead him to the reality of life. As for him, there is nothing but a dream within a dream. So next, there is figurative language. First, personification. Personification is to attribute human characteristic to non-human things or objects. The poet has personified hope in the sixth line, where he said, "Hope has flown away." Here he gives a human quality to hope and the ability to fly. Next, there is metaphor. Metaphor is formed from a comparison of two things have in common. The whole poem is an extended metaphor, as the speaker says, that life is a dream. He explained how dream enters our mind using a metaphor in line 16, where it started as yet how they creep, comparing the sand to a creeping object. Next is symbol. Symbol is a mark, sign, or idea that is used as a conventional representation of something, or has used symbols to make the meaning clear. For example, the fall of the grains of sand is a symbol of the passing time. Next is imagery. The use of imagery makes the reader to visualize the writer's feeling and emotion. Poe has used image appealing to the sense of sight, such as kiss upon the brow, grants of golden sun, and pitiless waves. This image helped the readers to feel the same pain felt by the poet. Next is rhyme. Rhyme is used to make the stanzas melodious, such as in the first, second, and third line of the first stanza, the rhyming words are brow, now, and a foe. It's Indian of the sentence. Next, there is meter. The meter of a dream within a dream is not all that precisely defined. The poem probably adheres mostly closely to iambic three meters, which mean there are 3 feet in each line, each with a dadam trace pattern. So the example is, thus much, let me a foe. There are not wrong pudding. So this is the example of the meter of this poetry. Next is moral message. So the moral message of this poetry is, the life has been a dream, but that everything can become a real if we afford to get it. So the conclusion. So the conclusion of this presentation is the poetry A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe is a melancholic poem that uses a lot of elements in it. One of them is intrinsic element. There are several intrinsic elements of this poetry, such as theme, figurative imagery, rhyme, meters, and message. And the intrinsic element analysis of this poetry is important to make the readers understand more of what kind of element used in the poetry to understand the message of the poetry itself. I think that's all the presentation for today. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.